What are you doing here? Hey, it's me, David. So X-Men Apocalypse is fast approaching, and as a result, I wanted to watch X-Men Days of Future Past again, because I remember really enjoying it the first time round, but I couldn't really remember it very well. So I watched it a second time, but this time I watched the Rogue cut, because I, for one, was really disappointed that Rogue got cut out of the movie the first time round. As it turns out, the Rogue cut doesn't really have that much Rogue in it, but it's still nice to see her again, and what scenes she does have I think are done pretty well. You may be wondering why I even wanted to see Anna Paquin's Rogue again, because I know a lot of people really aren't that fussed about her interpretation of the character, and indeed Rogue in the movies is nowhere near as cool as Rogue in the comic books. However, I have to say I have kind of a sentimental attachment to the original X-Men cast, because the X-Men movies were the first comic book movies that I really connected to. I never saw the old Superman movies, I never saw the Tim Burton Batman movies, I did see the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, but I didn't really connect to them in the same way that I connected to those first few X-Men films. And in fact, those first few X-Men films were a big factor in my decision to get into comic books, which are now such a huge part of my life, as you may have guessed. As a result, seeing the original gang back together was really exciting for me, especially as I truly believe that those scenes involving the original cast in that moody dystopian future are some of the best scenes in the movie. It's really thrilling seeing these characters working so well as a team, because we don't really get to see them working in harmony with each other in the original X-Men movies, whereas here everyone is utilising their own unique strengths to fight off the Sentinels, and it's just, they're really working as a team. It's really great to see. I really love those scenes. It's a bit sick in the future scenes. I really like the idea that characters can die at any moment. It probably is, but I don't care. I think it adds an extra layer of tension. I think it makes the stakes really high to know that these characters are in genuine danger. And yes, their deaths are undone by the timeline changing later on in the movie, but you know, it's still just really, like, crazy to see, like, these characters getting killed off, especially as their deaths are so brutal. I mean, Storm gets, like, impaled, and then you got Iceman getting his head, like, crushed. It's like, these are brutal deaths, and it's just, like, you're on the edge of your seat because you're like, how is this happening? Like, it's, I don't know, I think it's really effective and really exciting. Maybe I'm, like, a sadistic freak. As much as I like the old cast, the new cast is also very good. I think Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy have great chemistry together as Magneto and Professor X. I think Nicholas Hoult displays just the right amount of nerdiness to pull off a young Hank McCoy. I think playing a nerdy character, you can easily veer into annoying territory, but Beast never does that in this film, and that's something I really appreciate. I think Jennifer Lawrence is good as Mystique. I like the whole mutant and proud stance that they've given Mystique in these prequel films. I think it makes her motivations very clear and understandable, but I don't think that Jennifer Lawrence has really made the role her own, and judging from interviews, I don't think she really wants to. I mean, she said that she basically only does the X-Men films for the money. Evan Peters as Quicksilver is a lot of people's favourite character, and I have to admit that he is very likeable in this movie and delivers a much more memorable performance than Aaron Taylor-Johnson did in Avengers Age of Ultron. I think that's something that everyone has accepted as fact at this point. It's a shame for Aaron Taylor-Johnson. I kind of feel bad for him because Kick-Ass is like my favourite film ever, and he does a great job there. And I do want to see Aaron Taylor-Johnson go on to do good things, but I don't think Quicksilver is going to be his career-defining role because it was very forgettable, unfortunately. But Evan Peters has a bright future in the world of Quicksilver, and he's a character that a lot of people are really looking forward to seeing in X-Men Apocalypse. It's a shame that they decided to send Wolverine back in time instead of Kitty Pryde. If you weren't aware, in the original X-Men Days of Future Past comic book story, Kitty Pryde is the one that goes back in time, not Wolverine. And I would have really liked to have seen that because I like Ellen Page quite a bit and I think she's very good in the role. But I can understand why they didn't do that, because at the end of the day, they have to make their money back on these movies, and Wolverine is going to draw in far bigger audiences than Kitty Pryde is. But that being said, I really hope that we get to see Ellen Page in the role again, because I really do think she's very good in it, but I do get the sneaking suspicion that she isn't going to come back, which is kind of a shame. The story still works very well in spite of the fact that they altered it. In fact, I'm quite shocked at how well it works, to be honest with you, because time travel stories are very hard to pull off. It's rare that you're going to tell a time travel story that doesn't have a plot hole of some variety, and I'm sure you could pick apart X-Men Days of Future Past and find a plot hole if you really wanted to, but generally speaking, I think that the plot is very solid, and I'm really quite impressed at how cohesive it is. I feel like Days of Future Past is kind of overlooked because it isn't a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In a perfect world it would be, that would be amazing, but I think we have to accept the fact that that probably isn't going to happen anytime soon. Still though, I don't think X-Men Days of Future Past should be discriminated against because of this, because this is a really solid film. Like, I think it's one of the best comic book movies of recent years. I would say that. I think it stands right up there with some of the best offerings from Marvel Studios. I would say it's on a par with Guardians of the Galaxy. I would say it's not far off Captain America the Winter Soldier, but I do think the Winter Soldier has the edge a little bit there. But still, all I'm trying to say is that I'm just surprised that it isn't brought up more. It seems to have kind of faded into the background a little bit and been a little bit forgotten, whereas films like Guardians of the Galaxy are still referenced quite a lot. It's a shame, and I think that the X-Men would really benefit from joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but as I said, it's not going to happen. Let's not get our hopes up, because they will be crushed. It's a real shame that early reviews for X-Men Apocalypse have been so mixed, because honestly, after X-Men First Class, X-Men Days of Future Past, and Deadpool, I really thought that this franchise was on the mend. But hey, maybe I was wrong. I don't know. I am still going to go see X-Men Apocalypse though, because I'm interested to see what they do with it, and I want to be able to make my own judgment on the film. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm preparing for the worst. Off the top of my head, I'd say that X-Men Days of Future Past is my favourite X-Men film, followed closely by First Class. After that, I'd put X2. After that, I'd say X-Men and X-Men 3 are kind of on a par with each other. I'd never hated X-Men 3 as much as a lot of people did, and I don't think that the first X-Men film has aged very well, so that's why I'd say they're on a par. After that, I'd put the Wolverine films right at the bottom. Both of them haven't really done anything for me. When it comes to Deadpool, I'm not sure where I'd put it because it's so wildly different in tone that it kind of feels like it's part of a different franchise, so it's very hard to rank it. If I did have to put it in there, someone put a gun to my head and said, "Put it in there!" I would say, I don't know why that would happen, but you never know, maybe it will. I would probably put it around the X2 mark, because as much as I like Deadpool, I'm not head over heels in love with it, as I know some people are, so I'd probably put it around there. It's a very decent film, but I don't think it's incredible. So what are your thoughts on the X-Men film series? Do let me know in the comments section below. You can also like and subscribe if you're that way inclined. And hey, if you've made it this far into the video, do give yourself a pat on the back, because according to my YouTube analytics, you are in the vast minority. Most people turn off after the first 20 seconds. That's very depressing. But anyway, thank you for watching.